What if I told you that a country once devastated by war, a place where people barely had enough to eat and whose future looked uncertain, would rise to become one of the world's most influential cultural and technological powerhouses? This isn't the plot of a movie. It's the real story of South Korea. A nation that was once one of the poorest in the world has transformed itself into a global titan. From Samsung and Hyundai to BTS and BLACKPINK, South Korea has taken over both our screens and our homes. How did they do it? What secret recipe turned this small Asian country into a worldwide sensation? Today, we dive deep into the incredible journey of South Korea, how it rebuilt itself brick by brick, dream by dream, from ashes to global acclaim. And the answer may surprise you. It's not just about technology or pop culture. It's about national willpower, strategic governance, relentless education, and a culture rooted in survival and excellence. The devastation of war. In the early 1950s, South Korea was a broken nation. The Korean War, which lasted from 1950 to 1953, left the country in complete ruins. Major cities like Seoul were reduced to rubble, and basic services like electricity, water, and transportation were virtually non-existent. Families were torn apart, millions were displaced, and countless lives were lost. The economy was shattered, with people depending on international food aid just to survive. To make matters worse, the division of the peninsula into North and South Korea created long-term political instability. It seemed nearly impossible to rise from such devastation. But within this darkness, something remarkable began to grow: a collective national resilience. People knew they had no option but to survive, rebuild, and dream of a better future. That dream became the seed of a historic transformation: the push for industrialization. The real shift came in the 1960s under President Park Chung-hee, a military general turned strongman leader. While controversial due to his authoritarian rule, Park implemented aggressive economic reforms that forever changed the country's trajectory. He introduced a series of 5-year economic development plans, which focused on turning South Korea from an agrarian economy into an industrial powerhouse. Government resources were directed toward building roads, railways, ports, and power plants. Foreign loans were secured and funneled into building industries such as steel production, shipbuilding, and electronics. Export-oriented growth became the core strategy: produce high-quality goods and sell them abroad. South Korea began producing textiles, footwear, and electronics, initially low-cost but improving in quality over time. The results were astonishing. Within just 2 decades, the economy boomed, and poverty levels plummeted. This phase laid the groundwork for the technological and cultural waves that followed. Education, the engine of transformation. One of South Korea's most powerful tools in its rise was its unwavering commitment to education. The government quickly recognized that the country lacked natural resources, so it needed to turn its citizens into its greatest asset. The education system was revamped, with schools built even in the poorest regions. Literacy campaigns were launched to ensure no child was left behind. Parents embraced this wholeheartedly, pushing their children to succeed academically as a matter of family pride and national duty. Education became a sacred obligation. Students studied day and night, not just to pass tests, but to lift their families and the country out of poverty. The focus wasn't just on basic education but on science, engineering, and mathematics, fields crucial for innovation. As a result, South Korea produced generations of highly skilled workers, engineers, researchers, and entrepreneurs who fueled the rapid industrialization and tech boom that followed. The chaebol phenomenon. An integral part of South Korea's economic miracle was the emergence of chaebols, or large family-owned conglomerates. These include giants like Samsung, Hyundai, LG, and SK. These conglomerates started as small businesses, but were strategically nurtured by the government through low-interest loans, tax incentives, and protective policies. The idea was simple: build national champions who could compete globally. Samsung, for example, began as a trading company but evolved into an electronics powerhouse. Hyundai started in construction and later revolutionized Korea's car and shipbuilding industries. These chaebols were not just economic players. They became national symbols of pride. They created millions of jobs, built entire cities, and invested heavily in research and development. Though criticized for monopolistic practices and lack of transparency, there's no denying that chaebols formed the backbone of South Korea's economic engine, leading the country into the modern age. Democratization and global outlook. As the economy surged in the 1980s, so did the people's desire for political freedom. Citizens, especially students and workers, began protesting for democratic reforms. The authoritarian regime responded with violence, but public pressure grew stronger. In 1987, South Korea finally transitioned to a democratic government through peaceful mass protests. This was a crucial turning point. Democracy allowed for freer expression, more inclusive policies, and a vibrant civil society. It opened doors to global cooperation, international trade agreements, and cultural exchanges. The new political freedom also encouraged entrepreneurship and creativity. South Korea's image on the world stage improved dramatically, and the country began taking active roles in global organizations. This shift was not just political, it was deeply cultural, allowing Korea to share its identity with the world. The cultural boom. The Korean wave. By the 1990s, South Korea was ready to conquer the world in a new way, through culture. The government realized that cultural exports could be just as powerful as cars or electronics. Investments were made into film, music, television, and even language promotion. Korean dramas, known as K-dramas, became popular across Asia for their high production value, emotional storytelling, and relatable characters. These shows were soon being broadcast in China, Japan, Southeast Asia, and eventually around the globe. South Korea also leveraged platforms like YouTube and social media to spread its culture faster and farther than ever before. The Korean wave, or Hallyu, became a diplomatic and economic force. It wasn't just entertainment, it was soft power at its finest, introducing the world to Korean food, fashion, and philosophy. The K-pop revolution. No discussion of South Korea's global impact is complete without mentioning K-pop. What started as a local music trend evolved into a global cultural revolution. Entertainment agencies like SM, YG, and JYP began scouting young talent and putting them through rigorous training in singing, dancing, and public speaking. The result was polished, charismatic idols ready to conquer international stages. BTS, perhaps the most famous example, broke language barriers, sold out stadiums worldwide, topped Billboard charts, and addressed global issues like mental health and youth empowerment. BLACKPINK performed at Coachella and became fashion icons. K-pop became more than music. It became a movement powered by loyal fandoms and strategic global marketing. The economic impact is staggering. K-pop contributes billions to South Korea's GDP annually, boosting tourism, fashion, cosmetics, and merchandise. It's also a cultural bridge, inviting global fans to explore Korean language and lifestyle, tech titans, Samsung and beyond. While K-pop captured the world's ears, South Korea's tech industry was transforming how the world communicates, works, and plays. Samsung alone represents nearly 20% of the country's GDP and is a leader in smartphones, semiconductors, televisions, and more. But the tech landscape goes beyond one company. LG is a pioneer in display technologies, SK Hynix dominates memory chips, and numerous startups are emerging in AI, biotech, and green tech. South Korea ranks among the top countries in research and development spending per capita. The nation also boasts the world's fastest internet speeds and one of the highest rates of smartphone usage. Government and private sectors work together to foster innovation, with tech hubs in Seoul and beyond, driving the next wave of smart devices and digital solutions. The result? South Korea has become an indispensable player in the global tech ecosystem, the culture of hard work and resilience. Beneath all these achievements lies a deep cultural trait: the spirit of resilience. South Koreans are known for their determination, discipline, and work ethic. The country's history of colonization, war, poverty, and authoritarian rule shaped a society that values perseverance. Long working hours, high academic expectations, and an unrelenting pursuit of excellence are the norm. While this has sparked discussions on mental health and work-life balance, it also explains South Korea's incredible progress. There's a Korean word, han, which embodies a mix of sorrow, hope, and determination. It represents the collective emotional experience of hardship and the will to overcome it. This emotional engine drives everything from a student's late-night studies to an entrepreneur's long hours building a startup. It's what makes South Korea's story so powerful and so relatable. Conclusion: the future of a modern miracle. South Korea's transformation from one of the world's poorest nations to a global cultural and technological leader is nothing short of miraculous. It's a story of vision, grit, and unity. From war-torn landscapes to smart cities, from hunger to global acclaim, South Korea has shown what's possible when a nation believes in itself. Today, the country still faces challenges: an aging population, economic inequality, and the pressures of maintaining its cultural and technological edge. But if there's one thing history has taught us, it's this: never underestimate South Korea. It continues to evolve, inspire, and lead. And as the next chapter unfolds, one thing is certain: the world will be watching. If you found this story inspiring, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and check out our other videos for more incredible stories from around the world.